Know what to do about this thought I had in my head about what happens on social media that should be illegal of men particularly targeting vulnerable women, and then coming across as heroes or rescuers, and that glory, that rescuing is then handed over to the hell angel, the rebel angels, for the glorification of a dictator or an abuser, and I have not accepted that. Is the same as emotional and physical abuse. And I have my hand here holding the Bible, and people can see a little bit of my vein. I've never done self-harm, and I don't want to say that using my social media is the same as self-harm. So I rebuke it. I have not accepted a spy. I have said from the beginning of taking my medical evidence for myself, for my eyes only, or GPs, that if there was a spy and he was a royal, let God put that royal to the test, because God says do not trust in princes. And it's an ordeal because they don't have that limit. And who do you call on to help when you are already in a vulnerable position to be controlled by a criminal that is protected? So I'm suffering already, and then this added suffering, targeting the most vulnerable for physical abuse and spiritual, emotional abuse that they say to these demons, these entities and spiritual beings and tyrants, that they tell them, they make these superiors believe that I am complimenting and worshipping, either human worshipping or creature worshipping or any other worship for some type of an occult or some type of wrong thing that I'm not part of and I'm made to be part of. So this is a huge issue on social media. Oh, it's totally unreasonable and painful. So I'm against it, and I've had encounters with several men on Facebook and YouTube acting as heroes or rescuers when in fact they were predators. There was too many of them. Not only is it humiliating, it is the new staff at my landlord that some type of a ritual, it's more than a professional. It's some type of a ritual of the worship of gender man in England, and probably in the Parliament of London or the government. So I have to do this audible to say that I'm against this. This is a human rights abuse. To say what goes on behind closed doors, and for the GP practice is now all exposed without my consent. So I might as well put everything out into the public, since nothing is private for the disabled and for the severely vulnerable and poor on low income. Well, of course, I'm not that mad. I'm not going to do it. But it's a myth now that the poor people have any privacy. Even if I have a roof over my head, using technology removes that roof, removes that protection and that shelter as a punishment for using new technology. And I've noticed that in my life, particularly in connection links to my landlord. They've enabled a supremacist psychiatrist or psychologist or some type of a public profile to merge and link onto my landlord. Even someone who is the most wanted criminal, or someone who is a governor in a foreign country. And this should be illegal. Back on my hand holding my Bible. So I don't have any self-defense. In conclusion, well, they had taken my personal address, personal location, it's marked. And even if I was to buy a brand new phone and a brand new SIM, the same individual can call me up and use my number and do a remote control without my permission. So it's not only identity theft, it is being controlled by criminals and gangsters who are public profile sex offenders, much older than me, oversex, had much more sex than me, much more food than me, much more medicines than me, and much more holidays than me. So this has all been done to add to the problem of one stalker of 20 years to 100 stalkers of the next 20 years in the future. So the dishonesty of my landlord, the myth of saying that I have some privacy and security under shelter in social housing is a joke to them. So people in poverty are now in a state of shock, and I am outraged that my everyday life experience is now being a side woman to a forced internet boyfriend who I have never had a drink with. He never bought me a drink. He never spent a penny on me. Because he's a royal and because he said he saved my life on the internet, he sees himself as my ex, and I don't know who he is. It could be one, it could be two, or many who have stolen my medical records, my sexual healing for therapy after having a cyst cut from my internal, and this is so wrong, immoral, that the orientation is on vulnerable women who are socially isolated, and that the myth of believing I have privacy is absolute orgy. That they have provided me a shelter and a roof over my head, but they hate me. They hate my race. They hate the fact that I have said no to a misogynist, narcissist, sociopath, psychopath. They come back for second roundups of a fight, because to me it's a death threat. And it's also a mysticism to say that I'm supposed to be mysterious and I'm not. So they've stolen everything that I do in my private time. And people in poverty don't have this awareness, particularly after Brexit in United Kingdom, England. Many laws have been broken as a result. professionals are not who they say they are as a result. Oh, it's very, very scary. Any action that I do in my home or out my home is become a political prison. Become some type of a prisoner in my home, political prisoner or a sex slave to some insane individual. Clearly, this is an obscurance of justice. That they're targeting the vulnerable, the weak, the fragile. Even if they confessed, even if one man or a group of men or even their girlfriends came to me and confessed their personal diary of how they're being condemned by God because they've condemned me and they don't want to be antisocial, they want to be friends, I will say no. I will resist this evil passion. I will reject this perversion in my life, an obstruction of justice, obscurance of justice, as if they're forcing me into some type of group sex. Now, I have had something happened to my body since the surgery of that cyst being removed. I can't explain it. I had to look at my scar because I couldn't bend. And these perverts have stolen my personal videos and turned it into a pornography thing. So I need to safeguard myself from these sexual offenders who are putting their crimes onto me. So we don't have any authority as a result. I'm very angry about this. It's the same as robbery and rape, and worse. And this is what makes me suspect it is him that has, in his anger, because I rejected him, that he's gone and damaged the water tank in the loft on the 24th of April 2025. If it's not him, then it's some other Satanist, some other devil who was very important in his ego. That made him very sorrowful and very angry and upset that I didn't want him. I wasn't interested in him. I didn't want to listen to him. So he's gone off with another woman. But if he did have sex with another woman, that case for his ego had inflated or deflated because of the complexity of the situation. He's forcing me to be involved, and I don't want to be involved. He himself had said get off, but then he kept coming back. So that's an example of violence against women, targeting women who are single and fragile and disabled. And I have not received excellent service from either my landlord or my social media. There needs to be an improvement. There needs to be encouragement. Yep, I'm reading my Bible here. Backdated for many years, they've offended me, sexual offenders, impelled by their own feelings. And I've rejected them for good reason, because I don't want them to be my hero when it comes to, number one, not sharing the same God. They have a different humanist religion. And number two, we're not compatible. I'll close this video. Audible. We're not compatible. We're not in agreement. We had not prayed together. We had not talked together. This is a piece of metal. And he's stolen my glory. He wants to share my glory, my God-given grace, which is making me angry, for some other woman to say that she's more beautiful because she had a better position, or she's more beautiful because she had a better qualification or a better fitted dress, or that she's not crippled and I am. So it's a type of a tyrant. And I'm sick and tired of this abuse. Because it happened again today. It may have nothing to do with him. It may be somebody else impersonating him. But whatever. Whoever it is, it could be a black guy who's behaving as a white guy. And the normal thing is, if I do have lots of men interested in me, God can do amazing things on an agape platonic love. But again, it's my choice. It's not only about them. And they believe it's only about them. It has to be give and take. Especially that I'm going through hell as it is. I don't want more hell in my life. So clear off.